see him in shape. I wanted to see his face looking good. I wanted to see his eyes looking good. I wanted to see his financial situation changing. I wanted to see the perception of how the media was treating him change. Like, I had this whole plan. Like, I literally had a vision of just seeing Aaron and Melanie and the baby on the cover of, like, People magazine, like, you know, healthy, smiling, like just on top again. And just that, you know, because everybody loves a comeback story. You know what I mean? People love a comeback story, like love it. You know what I mean? And like the harder you fall, the bigger the stage is set for like a comeback. And I used to tell Aaron that all the time. I'm like, bro, it doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter where you're at. When you get back on top, man, people are going to absolutely lose their mind for it. Like that's what every movie's about. Is someone that starts off somewhere, they lose everything or everything fucks up, and then they learn some lessons and they go through some shit, and in the end they come out on top, right? Like that's what we want to see. You know. Unfortunately, the movie turned into a tragedy. And I wish that there was something I could do to change that, but there wasn't, and there isn't. I did what I could do, man. But don't ever get it twisted. Me knowing Aaron was never about no money. It was never about me trying to get anywhere with my music career. You know, I turned down all the opportunities Aaron gave me. I used to shy away from being on live with him all the time. All the times you guys saw him, for every time you guys saw me on Aaron's live back in the day, there was like 10 live requests that I declined. You know what I mean? So just know that, like, it wasn't about that for me, man. It was about like just being straight up real with you. When I met Aaron and we connected the way that we connected and actually became like close, like I thought it was some godly stuff. Like for me, it was godly. Like it was like God put me in this position to meet this guy to help him. That's the way I looked at it. I was like, there's only one reason I become friends with this guy. I wasn't a fan of Aaron. I wasn't, you know, like Winter Havens and shit. Like those guys listened to him growing up. You know what I mean? They listened to his music. They knew who he was. Like, I knew who Aaron was. You know what I mean? Aaron's famous as fuck. Like, of course I know who he was, but I wasn't a fan of his. So when I met him, I'm like, how in the fuck did I end up here with this guy? You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty mind-blowing. Like, as I'm sitting there and I'm, like, taking it all in, I'm like, of all people, like, this guy, like, Aaron Carter, like, the guy from the fucking reality TV show, and when he was a kid, he was rapping and shit. Like, that's the way I remembered him. You know, I remembered seeing him crying on Dr. Phil. That was my memories of him. You know what I mean? So, like, we're driving around, getting along like long lost brothers, and I'm like, man, there can only be one reason that this is happening. It's because God wants me to help this guy. Because there's no other reason why this guy would come into my life, like, of all people. You know? Like, even when I did the show with Aaron, it was weird because, like, our manager, our common manager, Jay, rest in peace, Jay, by the way. Jay passed away 2 weeks before Aaron did. He didn't even think I wanted to do it. He was like he presented it to me like he wasn't like, he was like surprised I even wanted to do it. I was like, no, I'll do it. Like when I initially performed with him and shit like that. So like, just goes to show you, right? Like I wasn't some person that was like a fan of Aaron or watching him from afar or like following his career. So like when this guy just like shows up in my life out of nowhere, like real quick and real effortlessly, and without me trying, then I knew that it was God's work, you know, or whatever you want to call it, the universe or Allah or the Almighty, whoever, you know. But you guys know what I mean. It was fate, and I took it seriously. Many women used him and abused him. That comes with the territory, man. So I'm saying, this fame shit's no joke. Like, you guys are underestimating this shit. Why do you guys think I don't want that shit? Why do you, like, that's what I'm saying. These guys are starving to get famous. Starving. Like, they're doing anything to get famous. I'm almost like I almost been sabotaging myself over the years. Like since I was young, people wanted me to do different shit, you know, but I always kind of shied back a bit. Like when I could have like went somewhere bigger than kind of where I went, I always shy away from it a bit. Like this fame shit's no joke. And yeah, people are gonna use you, they're gonna abuse you, the world's gonna treat you like shit, they're gonna judge you, they're not gonna understand you. Like there's a lot that comes with that shit. You're never gonna know who your real friends are. People are gonna be targeting you constantly for money. You know, there's a lot that comes with that shit. It's no joke. I don't know anything about fame in terms of experiencing it myself, but I know about a little bit of notoriety. And even the little bit of notoriety that I got was like enough to like mess with my mental health to the point where I had to like readjust myself and like, you know, I could see a small, tiny little glimpse of how fame would fuck your head up just from notoriety. You know what I mean? Since I started making music, so did Aaron ever give you advice on handling criticism from other people? Not really advice, he just warned me. You know what I mean? He was like, once he started like putting me out there to the world, because he's the one who got my name known out there. You know what I mean? And people will say that to me like it's a negative thing. Like people are like, oh, if it wasn't for Aaron Carter, nobody would know you. Like it's like, okay. Like it's more of like just a truthful statement. You know what I mean? Like that's just the way it happened. Like that's how you guys got to know who I was through him. You know what I mean? Like people say it to me like it's a put down. So it doesn't like that doesn't hurt my feelings. You're just telling the truth. That's how people got to know on a broader level who I was outside of my own networks. So like he just warned me about like, you know, get ready. He'd just laugh almost. Like the funny thing is he'd laugh. He'd be like, get ready for it. He's like, they're gonna dig into your life, they're gonna try to find out everything about you, they're gonna stalk you, they're gonna fucking he told me about, you know, all the BSB fans and all the fans of his brother and all those people would come after me. He told me I'd be getting weird messages, I'd get harassed. He just warned me, you know. Yeah, like we really did meet out of. Sorry, I just started thinking about something, but I was reading a comment that said you guys met at a coincidence. And like, I don't even know if I believe in coincidence, but like, I know exactly what you're saying. And yes, we did. Um, and like the crazy thing is our manager, like I said, Jay, rest in peace, Jay, amazing guy, man. I miss him too. Um, I hadn't talked to Jay and probably like I was very fed up with music. Like I was very fed up with like being online, like promoting myself as an artist, doing all that shit. Like I just had enough. Like I tried it for a few years and I was just like, man, fuck this. Like I got no time for this shit. I started like just doing everything else other than, you know what I mean? So like my manager Jay would call me a lot, call me a lot, call me a lot. And I feel bad 'cause I was just not answering his phone calls, not answering his messages for like months and months and months and months, like just being a dick. Like I shouldn't even done that. But I was just so fed up with the music industry, fed up with entertainment, fed up with online. I was just like, man, fuck all this, right? And then finally, like one day I was just like, man, he messaged me and I called him. I was like, hey man, I was like, my bad, bro. I was like I'm being a piece of shit, you know. I should have just answered your messages. Like I just been so like upset and just fed up with music. I just didn't want to talk about music. I didn't want to talk to anybody that I know through music. I just and Jay was a very understanding guy. Like Jay loved me and Caleb and did a lot for me and Caleb. Did a lot for Aaron too. But just an awesome guy. Like, you know what I mean? In terms of the way that I was treated by him, like amazing. And he was just like, I don't give a fuck, blah, 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 blah. And like, you just gotta know the way that this guy talks. He's like, I don't care, man. Like, blah, 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 blah. Well, what are you up to? Do you want to do something? Or you got, and I was like, I don't know, man. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this shit anymore. I was like, what do you got going on right now? He's like, well, we got a show going in Halifax. And like, I'm from Halifax and I don't live in Halifax, right? So like, I was like, oh yeah. I was like, who's the show with? And he's like, Aaron Carter. And I was like, oh yeah. And he's like, you wouldn't want to open that, would you? And I was like, I thought about it. I was like, no. I was like, yeah. I was like, I would. He's like, really? I was like, yeah. I was like, I'd do it. I was like, just because it's home and because like Aaron Carter was a pop star, right? I was like, he has mostly a female fan base, and all my music at the time that me and Caleb was making was like more directed towards female audience. So I was like, yeah, I'd do it, and then that's how it happened. So like, it really was coincidence because I was done with the shit. I've been ignoring Jay's calls for months and months and months and months, ignoring his messages, and then just one day I call him back, and then that conversation turned into me flying into Halifax. Aaron flew in. Caleb already lives down there. So, yeah, and that was a crazy time. And that was a time that will go down in history, trust me. Like, that week that Aaron was in Halifax was a crazy week, trust me. There was more excitement in Nova Scotia than there'd been in a long time. In a long time. Like, you got to keep in mind, too, at that point, Aaron just got off No Jumper, just got off of fucking Logan Paul's podcast, just got off of I forget the other ones. He did like 4 or 5 of the biggest podcasts in the world at that time, and him and his mom, I think, just did that reality show. Maybe, I don't know. Either way, Aaron was like a very hot topic at the moment when I met him. Like, extremely hot topic. More hot of a topic than I had even realized. Chuck's tat and Chuck's tar and the Rocky Dude were attacking Aaron, like you said in the post. I don't know.